Oh my god, I feel so bad because this video came out a lot longer than I wanted to. But I found these awesome cards online. So I did struggle with opening the package, but I wanted to test the durability to see how much maybe it could hold. It looked durable enough, like cardstock. And it was like character trading cards, and I seen an advertisement for it. So I wanted to try it. I thought, oh, I could use this and make them with book characters. I know they're meant to be made with your own characters, but I thought this would be a cool idea, right? So I had to go find my mechanical pencils, and I tested to see if they were strong enough. I haven't drawn traditionally in a while since I got my tablet, so I had a lot of fun doing this. First thing I needed to do was come up with a pose, and it was pretty easy. I just knew for a fact I wanted him to have that cool golden sword. Actually, I should tell you who I'm drawing. For this, I'm going to be drawing Jason Grace from the Heroes of Olympus series. I don't know, I mean, I talk about it a lot, but I don't know if it's a secret yet that I still love this series. And I know a lot of people don't, and I don't know why. Is it because they're just fans of Percy Jackson, that they don't want anyone else taking the spotlight? I don't know. But I love this series, and I love Jason, so he's who I'm going to be drawing for this. I plan to switch out to maybe do boy girl, and I don't want to repeat series, so you'll only see one character from each franchise if I can help it. First thing I need to do is come up with a pose, and it was pretty easy because I knew for a fact I wanted him to hold the cool golden sword, and I wanted there to be lightning in the background. I was trying to think about how I was going to color this too, because I don't do backgrounds very well. I get impatient and I want to just hurry to color the character and then whatever with the background. But I decided on that later. Right now I just did something real quickly where like he was running with a sword, and I blocked it in. The proportions look a little funny, and I'm sorry the camera's at an angle because I didn't have an overhead camera. I just sat my phone up on the shelf above this and hope for the best. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing the playback of this. I fast forwarded it as much as I could to save on time, and this video still came out so long. It felt really good though to be drawing again. So I just started with the basic things. I learned this back when I was in this AP art studio. You just draw circles for like the heads, the shoulders, where all the joints are going to connect, like the hands, the elbows, the knees, and then you could just sort of block in the rest and then draw over it. So that's kind of what I did. I know it's a funny looking angle, but can't really help that. I had to look up some references. I didn't want him to just wear like a plain t-shirt and some jeans. So when I looked at the references, he was wearing like a plain purple shirt and some blue jeans, and I'm like, that's a little bit too plain. I wanted to add some more flair, so I thought it would be cool to give him like a leather jacket. Yeah, this is completely unedited, and I messed up a lot of the times, which is why you'll see me like erase constantly and whatnot, because I couldn't really get things right off the first bat. I mean, that's what a sketch is for, right? So you'll see me like consider a decision, maybe try to picture it on the paper, erase it, try it again another way. First, the shirt was a little bit weird because I'm like, the collar, if his body's leaning one way, you have to make the collar lean one direction, but it didn't look right, so I needed it to lean the other direction, so I had to erase it and do it. And then when I did the inside of the shirt, I know I needed a lot of like folds and whatnot, but the first time I didn't make it long enough because his head looked bigger than like his chest and whatnot. And I know like when you measure, the head you should be able to fit so many heads like within the chest or so. So I ended up having to redo this several times too until it looked maybe okay. I think my problem was I wanted to fit the entire sketch on the card, and at the length I started doing it, it wasn't really possible, so I was trying to force proportions in where it wasn't going to work. So I had to make a sacrifice and cut off some of the cool pose to fit the rest of it in. A bit disappointed about that, but at least I got to add some of it in later. Um, I was worried about drawing it too close to the right side of the card to start with, the whole pose in general, but I wanted to leave room so when he holds out his arm and he's holding the sword that you could see the sword because that's very important. So it ended up, I guess, being okay, even though it's still a bit awkward where it's positioned, but it made sense in the end when I did the sword. I really enjoy drawing close to like the folds of it and the action shots and all that. I didn't want to be too detailed because it's just a card. It's not like it's a freaking Louvre painting or anything. It's just like a sketch for a trading card. There is some stuff on the back like stats, but I didn't mess with that. I just thought it would be a cool concept because I love doing trading cards. I've made a bunch of my own that I sold. I do sell some on Etsy too. I don't get to do them as often because it's very extensive. I really enjoy doing jeans too, the lines on them, the folds. The leather jacket was a bit weird because I had references for his shirt and whatnot, but I didn't have one for this, so I just kind of winged it and hoped for the best. I just thought it would be cool to have it kind of open and flaring, and I didn't want it up all the way. I wanted it rolled up to his... I wanted to roll it up his arms a little bit. I know a lot of artists shy away from doing hands, but I actually love it. I enjoy doing hands and fingers, and I always end up making them a lot more slender and graceful. I actually enjoyed how that came out. Wanted to make sure I get like the bones off his knuckles and that kind of detail in between the fingers and whatnot. And I still wasn't okay with how the shirt came out because I'm not using a reference or anything. I'm just winging that also, so I'm just putting folds where I think they go, and that's probably a mistake. But again, I wasn't trying to take this too seriously. For his sword, I feel a little bad because I would like to make it a bit more ornamental, but in all the references and whatnot, it's not. It's just a normal sword, just a golden color. So I didn't mess with that too much. I could have made it literally anything. But for the purpose that I needed it for, it's just a plain sword. And for the fingers here, I was struggling to get the angle right because I didn't know how many bends I needed to make in the finger, if it was like 2 or 3. So that's why you see me looking at my hand as reference a lot, because I'm just like, is this how it looks? Is this how it looks? And then for a big brain moment, I went to wing the sword. I'm like, wait a minute, I got a pen right here I could use just to draw a straight line with. So I just used it real quick as a ruler. I had to pause for a minute because at first I started drawing the lightning in the background, and I was like, wait a minute, this card looks a little plain. I like it to look like a fancy card with like the border around the sides. So I looked up some like Greek or Roman references to borders and what that would look like. And at first I was going to do a little spiral thing. I was like, it's kind of too hard. I don't have enough time for that. So I just went with like the leaves, especially since they matched the leaves on his shirt. I thought that would be kind of cool. And I thought maybe I could give each character their own little border that represents them. So then I just started adding lightning after that, the lightning effects in the background. And I always draw them the same way, just kind of random lines with more lines sprouting off of them like tree branches and making them skinny. I got a lot of practice from drawing Nightwing. And yes, now the sketch is done. I can move on to tracing it with my Micron pens. And these are super awesome pens. I love them for everything. The goal here is, line variation. You'll hear that a lot. To use the bigger one to outline things like the outside of the sketch, things that are closer to you, or things that are more important, bigger emphasis, bigger space. And then you can use the smaller tips to go in and trace the smaller things like the fingers, the lines, and all of that. So that's what I started first, is really tracing the outline with the biggest pen tip that I had. This is also like the last chance I have to change anything. Even though I really wasn't happy with how the face was coming out, I kind of had to make a decision and just go with it. Because I tried changing it once, twice, and it didn't look right even more, so I just went back to how I did it the first time. After this, though, it's your last chance to really change anything. You have to remember not to let yourself get confused when you're tracing lines, because sometimes if you sketch too much, it becomes hard to see where the actual line art is, and you could trace over something you didn't mean to. So I had to be really careful in doing that. I don't know if you can see it very well because I sped it up so much, but I switched to a smaller tip to outline the lightning and like the fingers and the lines, the folds. I needed the smallest one to start working on the face. Right now I'm working on like all the little lines on the jacket. Yeah, on the bottom here, I took the opportunity to add some more of the pose. So like at least I could see some of the coolness that I wanted. Like, and it wasn't so awkward. I could see his shoes, and I added that with the shoestrings and all that. I thought it would just look cooler as if like it was like full card art instead of just stopping right there with nothing at the bottom. So one of the funnest parts after tracing is you get to erase all of your sketch lines off of it, and that'll leave you with some fresh, clean line art. At first I had to test my pencil because I didn't know if this small eraser was going to hold up to the job. I didn't want it to like get it dirty and then like it starts smudging black eraser all over it. You know how that does. And I couldn't find my little pink eraser that I usually use, so I just had to wing it with the eraser on the pencil, and it did the job well enough on its own. I had to pass it over a few times, and I kept turning it to make sure I got a clean white part. I'm so sorry that my camera would not focus for this part. I don't know what's going on with it. So if this hurts your eyes, feel free to fast forward. I'm also going to fast forward this part, even though it's really cool. Next came one of my favorite parts. This is one of my favorite pens ever, this ink pen that I have. It has ink in it, and then you just apply water and you can squeeze it, and ink comes out onto the paper, and you can spread it around as if you were painting with an actual ink brush. I love it. It's really good for doing comic art. But in this case, it worked for the background because I wanted the character to pop out from the background, and I want to sort of make them all uniform in that background. So this is the easiest way I've seen to pull that off. So after I was done with the ink, I impulsively started tracing the outline with this white paint pen that I have, because that's usually how I finish it. Then I thought, maybe it's better off if I color it first and then apply the paint pen, because if I do that, maybe I could accidentally cover over the white and then I might have to redo it anyway. So I caught myself and I stopped doing that. I started with the colors first. Now these Copic markers, these are alcohol based and they're very expensive. I think I paid about $70 for this pack, and I got them years ago, and they still work fine, but I don't use them that often just because of how expensive they are. Unfortunately, a lot of the colors I wanted to use were dried out. That's why they came out looking very pale and lighter than I wanted to. I mean, it kind of worked in my favor because I wanted to test what the color looked like before I actually applied too much on accident. So this way it let me run several passes over the color if I wanted to darken it. But I love these pens. Again, they're alcohol based, so not a lot of paper can handle it. And I only have so many. You have to buy different packs. Like you have to buy a skin pack, a pastel pack, like a green shade pack, a blue pack. I think I just got a basic pack and a skin pack. So I kind of just had to work with what I got. I didn't want to use pencil colors. I never like how pencil colors come out. But I did use a black pencil color to clean up the background. So right now I was being very careful because sometimes since the pens are so inky, the ink runs out of the marker and it makes a huge mess. Fortunately, I didn't have that problem because these are too dried out. And I tried to, with these it's really cool because the more you pass over it, the darker it gets, like applying a new layer on top of it. So it's really cool that I tried to pay attention to where I can apply another pass and add like shadow. And they're really good for blending, which I hardly did here. I was just winging it with the colors. But I used another purple to try to add another dimension of shadow. I don't know if it had the effect I wanted. Next up is the leaves. I wanted them to be more gold, but for some reason I only had this yellow. It didn't really cut it for me. It was all I had right now, so I had to use it for the border and his hair. Also, while doing that, I realized I missed the spot with the background right there, so I had to go back in and fill that in. I wanted to be more golden than that, so I remedied that later with pencil colors. I had to settle it for his hair too, but I wanted it more blonde, not yellow. Same thing with the lightning. I had no choice but to use it there. After I realized this, I didn't realize how much yellow and gold there was involved in this, because it's also got to be applied to the sword. But then I realized I missed the spot there on the background, so I went and filled that in. I didn't use the ink pen because I was afraid if I got too close it might run over, so I just used the pencil color and it had the same effect. In fact, I realized here I could use it to fill in all of the little gaps. Next up was this jacket. Couldn't decide if I wanted to do a dark brown, almost a black. So I figured when it comes to Copic markers, it's always easier to start lighter and work your way darker. That's what I did. Turns out the light was enough of the color that I wanted it to be. And I don't know, I don't really like the faux pas of, brown and black, but I didn't have a choice in this case. The background's black, his jacket's brown. What are you going to do? With the jeans, I wanted to make sure I give this like this faded look. I didn't want to just put in them some natural blue jeans. It'll just look kind of funny. I tried to do long passes instead of small ones, so the line wouldn't show as much. I always have a habit of tracing first before I color in. I feel like it's like a guard kind of, even though like it's not really. But of course, I worked on the shadows on the inside. I was laughing to myself because I'm like, I don't want to look like he peed himself. This dark blue, of course, added some more shadows, more depth to that. They were a little bit more richer than I wanted, but hey, it worked, whatever. I needed to make sure he got the shadow of his shirt over it. Not to do too much, just a little bit here and there. I figured it would be nice to have his shoes matching the same color as his jacket. Aesthetically pleasing in a sort of way. After that, all that's really left is the skin. And even though all these colors really looked alike, it was hard for me to choose, so I just kind of had to hope I got it right and just maybe hope that I could blend them all together and make it look like skin. But I tried to do where the shadows would show first, underneath the hairline, around the eyes, underneath the neck, the jaw, the jacket sleeves, under the underarms. And this was a slightly lighter color. Needed to make sure it didn't there's no white space on the paper. But it didn't need to be as dark as those. I thought I could use a pencil color here to maybe blend it all a little bit more. I ended up making it a little darker than I wanted, but that's the problem with these markers. Since they're the alcohol again, it tends to blend with everything you have on the paper, including either the paper, the marker, the outline, with each other. And I had to color the logo on his shirt. Needed to add some shadow to that blonde hair. This color I chose was still too light. It's not what I wanted. So I was like, let me try this orange. And this worked out good. I figured if I could blend this dark orange with the light yellow, I might come out with this cool golden color. And yeah, that was way closer to what I wanted. That's really more what I wanted. The pencil colors are great for just filling in the blocks of colors that the marker might have missed. To make it look smoother, I guess. And I don't like to use just the same shade as shadows, so that's why I like to use this brown for the shadow on the skin. Could have used a cool color like blue or purple. So I was like, well, I gotta do his face now. Eyebrows should be about the same. That didn't really look right. So darkened it up a little. And make sure you get the shadows around it. Darken that up a little bit. Underneath the jawline again. The neck, the Adam's apple, all that. I had to actually wait for a minute and check what color his eyes were. Turned out they're blue. Quick fix. And then I went over it with the pen to make sure you could see it. I didn't want just solid blue pupils, so I had to add a little bit of, iris and stuff in there. The white wasn't working because it was smudging itself. Now for this paint pen again. Good thing I tested it first because you have to push it down to get the paint to come forward. And that got rid of the excess before I just winged it on there. So this is when I just traced the whole outline in this white Posca pen, and I loved it.
Never played this one.
And that's it. After that, all that's left is to write the name.
Huh?
And then I'm done.
What is it?
I ain't talking to you.
Who are you talking to? Oh, sorry.
I'm keeping that in,
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you for the next one.